Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that tonight also, according to one riwayah, is the night of Laylatul Qadr. Actually, Laylatul Qadr could be, if a person has a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then every night is Laylatul Qadr. If he has no connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even Laylatul Qadr is not Laylatul Qadr for him. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually, He gives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who mu'ti. But if a person is the one who is not taking from Allah, so you can imagine there's a line and everybody is in the line and they're getting, like if you go to Hajj and there's this line and everybody gets it. But if a person is there, but he's not taking from the one who's giving. So this is the issue with the Bani Adam. That Allah is the one who gives, but the human being doesn't want to take. Like Allah Iqbal says, "Hum to mail bakaram tumne saidi nahi, raah batrai kisi reh raho manzil hi nahi. بدنا نعطيك إياه بس أنتم اللي ما تستخدمون منه." We want to give you, you are the one who is not taking it from us. أحدية की दरिया बह रही है इस वक्त. The ocean of the nur of Allah is flowing down. But the person ظرفه بالعكس. وتحت الحنفية بس ظرفه عكس. هل يمتلئ? He's under the tap, let's say, or he's standing under the Niagara Falls, but his cup is upside down. Can this get filled up? If he just turns the cup, probably in 1,000th of a second, his cup would get filled up. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give. The human being doesn't want to take it. This is what the Quran says. ما يأتيهم من ذكر من ربهم. There are different ayat. ما يأتيهم من ذكر من ربهم محدث إلا استمعوه وهم يلعبون لاهية قلوبهم. This is one ayat. Another ayat says لا يأتيهم من ذكر من الرحمن وهم إلا وهم معرضون. ما يأتي من ذكر من ما يأتي من ذكر من الرحمن هي ما يأتي من ذكر من ربهم ما يأتي من ذكر الرحمن إلا وهم معرضون. One ayah says that how Allah wants to give ما يأتي من ذكر من الرحمن محدث إلا استمعوه وهم يلعبون. When the time Allah is giving, at that time they are playing. Children. Allah is giving, He's at that time playing. وهم يلعبون لاهية قلوبهم. Their heart is not there. मिलते वक्त आपका दिल ही नहीं है उसमें. It's like you're sitting in front of your boss and you're playing with your phone. Yes, I assume the time is about to get the paycheck and a person is sitting in front of his boss and the boss, he wants to give you and you are at the same, hold on, let me see what's going on the YouTube. This is يمشي Quran كذا لاهية قلوبهم. Their hearts are busy in something else. The time when they are getting, at that time their hearts is busy. To the extent, how much it is what do you call, how much it is, Allah wants us to have tawajjuh. How much tawajjuh? I'll give an example. Hadith says, Man massa al-hasa faqad lagha. What does it mean? It means, in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu we were sitting. So there were no carpets. So what they would do is they would put small pebbles on the ground, and when they put these small pebbles on the ground, So you want to make sure that they would make the salat on the pebbles. In the Jum'ah, when he's sitting over there, there's a small pebble. The hadith says, Man massa al-hasa, which means if there's a small pebble on the ground, you touch it. You do like this. तुम्हारा जुमे का अजर खत्म हो गया. If you touch that pebble on the ground, आपने you touch किया, ये आपका जुमे का अजर खत्म फकद लगा. If you touch that pebble which is on the ground, your ajr is finished. Even touching of the pebble, it stops the nur of Allah which comes to a person. So, do you like when you're talking to your son, your son is somewhere else? You don't like that. Do you like that when you're talking and your son or your wife or somebody, you're talking and then he's busy on the phone? You don't like that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants attention to the extent that there is even not movement of the finger. Even the movement of the finger. That's why when you're sitting up in the salat, how the Sahaba used to sit. It comes in the hadith. كأنما على رؤوسهم طيور. They would sit in such a manner like a statue. Like if a bird would come, it would like this is just for example, if this is a thing, the bird can come and sit on this because it's it's stationary. If you put it over here, it's stationary, and the bird can come and sit on this. This is how the Sahaba were when they were in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that they were so stationary that a bird can come and perch on their head. Like how a mannequin is. Have you seen a mannequin? In the stores, you have these mannequin, right? You understand what the mannequin is? The statues. So the bird would come and sit on it because it's not going to move. This is how the Sahaba were. هكذا كانوا أمام النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. This is how they were in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when the hadith tells us and the Quran tells us, it comes an explanation. When you are hearing the name of hadith, it is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam talking to you directly. When you're hearing the name of hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, كأن النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام يتكلم معك حالا. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is talking to you directly. He is talking to me personally directly. This is what the ulama they say in the sharh. So their focus was to this extent. When the focus was like this, and there was no, and there was, their hearts were completely free. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants to give us, especially tonight, don't become those persons who is standing up at the door of the king and he doesn't get nothing. And it's not the mistake of the king that you're getting in the line, but you're not picking up. To get what do you need to do, and the king wants to give you, what do you need to do? You need to raise your hand, right? In dunya, if I want to give this to him, I cannot give him like this. He has to open the hand, so I can give it to him. Now I can give it to him. If his hand is closed, he cannot get it. So when you want to get from Allah, the heart has to be opened, so Allah can give you. If the heart, for example, he has in his hand this thing, and then if I want to give it to him, how can I give him? He has something else in his hand. So if the heart is busy something else, if the heart is busy in something else, he will not get, even though he is present right in front of Allah. You don't get nothing. मिले अगर आप मशगूल हैं, आपका दिल किसी और चीज में मशगूल है, तो आपको कैसे मिलेगा? इधर अंत मशगूल قلبك मशगूल في أمر غير الله. كيف تتحصل من الله? How will you get from Allah? So the heart has to be ومن أظلم ممن ذكر بآيات ربه فأعرض عنها. فأعرض عنها فأعرض مش أنت كيف ما في إعراض الوجه، إعراض القلب. فأعرض عنها, which means that Allah is saying, who could be more biggest, who could be more biggest zalim, oppressor, the one who is ذكر بآيات ربه, the words of Allah is coming to him, فأعرض عنها, and then he turns away from that. He turns away. You know, he turns away. The main reason people do not get from Allah is, the main thing to get from Allah is only and only your attention, your focus. आपकी तवज्जो नहीं तो खुदा की तरफ से आता नहीं मिलेगी, फिर जो आ रही रुक जाएगी. Have you not heard the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? يمكن also the hadith is there that when you are in the salat, خمس, سدس, تسع, عشر, somebody gives 10 out of 10, somebody gives 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. وبعض الناس يصلون لا تقبل صلاتهم, their salat is not at all accepted. ويرمى على وجهه, and the salat is thrown on the face because his attention is not there. If the attention is not there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't give him. So the main thing to get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to be the attention. I was sitting or talking to my sheikh. So one of his students was saying, Junaid Baghdadi said, when he got the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he made the salat without the attention. So he repeated all of his salat of 40 years. Because he made the salat, his 40 years of salat were without khushu' and khudu'. فراجع 40 سنة صلاة لأنه قد صلى بغير خشوع فقضاهم. So what he did was he repeated all of his salat of 40 years. 40 years of his salat, he repeated all of them because he said that when I was making the salat, Allah ma kan qalbi mawjud. فالشيخ قال له طيب أنت you repeated your salat. What about those هؤلاء الأنفاسك اللي مش كانوا مرتبطين مع الله, إيش سوي فيهم؟ उन सांसों का क्या करोगे जो खुदा से गाफिल थी, उसको कैसे रिपीट करोगे? Your breaths which were disconnected from Allah, what you will do about them? Salat you repeated. What about that time and those breaths which you took? Jo dam ghafil, wo dam kafir. Those breaths which you took and you are disconnected with Allah, what would you do about them? How can you repeat that? That's out of your hand. So to get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the main cause of not getting from Allah is i'rad. I'rad means a person, that's why everything if you see, there is a reason. That's why sitting in the majlis also has a way of sitting, way of looking, everything. There a man in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came. دخل رجل وهو شديد بياض الثياب وشديد سواد الشعر لا يرى عليه أثر السفر ولا يعرفه منا أحد. A man came, a beautiful, he had black beard, black hair, and white cloth, neat and clean. لا يرى عليه أثر السفر. He didn't look from ولا يعرفه منا أحد. None of us knew him, and he did not look like local, and he did not look like he was a traveler. فأسند ركبتيه إلى ركبتيه ووضع يديه على فخذه. He came and sat in the seat of tashahhud in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he put his hands on his hands. And he said, "Mal Islam, mal Iman, mal Ihsan, an ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tara." All of this. فلبثت مليا ثم انطلق فعجبنا يسأله ويصدقه. So we were amazed. He's asking his, and he himself is saying, "Sadaqt, you're saying the truth." فلبثت مليا ثم سألني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, يا عمر أتدري من السائل? Oh, Umar, do you know who this person is? قال الله ورسوله أعلم. قال هذا جبريل أتاكم ليعلمكم دينكم. He came to teach you how you need to learn your deen. لذلك, if you want to learn the deen, if you want to get the nur of Allah, condition number one, shut down your phones. It's the first thing. Don't even look at it. Shut it out completely. Second thing, sit in the state of how we sit in the salat. This is the second condition. If somebody is tired or old, that's a different case. But the one who can afford it, he should sit in this manner. The one who was the him. Second thing. The third thing, the focus should be only towards what Allah and His Rasul is saying. Don't move your arms. Actually, most of us have ADHD. You know what is that? You have this, this hyperactive disorder. A person, he cannot sit still. If you tell somebody to sit still, he cannot sit. He's always moving. He wants to do this, he wants to do this. His hands are moving. Body is moving constantly. He cannot sit still. Sitting still, and the Sahaba, when they used to sit, they would sit still. That's it. No movement. They had, and this hyperactive disorder, before they used to have, the kids would have it. Now, even now, the old people also have it. The regular adults also have it now. And it is because of this happens because of watching movies. Because there's so much movement, so your mind is used to constant adrenaline rush. So a person, when he keeps on gets because that's not the life is not designed to have this adrenaline constantly at this pace. Mind is not designed for that. Your mind is not designed to have this adrenaline rush of this caliber constantly. They show one scene, the second scene, the third scene, fourth scene. It's moving fast. Sometimes I remember somebody saying, "Oh, this is a slow movie. Close it. New movie. The movie has to be fast paced. It has to be fast moving." So what happens constantly? So the mind is not designed for this kind of fast. Life is not designed. So what happens when he's seeing these things? His mind is accustomed to this constant adrenaline rush. So what happens when he comes in the salat and they ask him to stay khudu'? How is it possible? Miskeen ما يقدر. تعود على هذا الشيء because he is used to that kind of a rush. So if you ask somebody to sit still, it's difficult. It's sort of impossible to him. He has to constantly move. He has to have constant, action, constant. He cannot sit still. And to get the nur of Allah, you have to be still. You have to be very focused. That's why the focus cannot come. Why the focus always moving constantly? Because it's difficult for individual to focus. It's constant because of the environment which we have subjected ourselves to. So our focus is constantly changing. And a person, if he does not get the focus from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah's fair and fadl does not come down. The hadith is very clear on this. Hadith is very clear. إذا عبد توجه إلى الله, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala متوجه إليه. He is focused towards Allah. Allah's focus is with him also. فإذا غاب عنه غاب عنه. If he focus changes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changes his focus also. So he also moves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he also, his special attention which was coming to this individual also changes. Now he is just like this thing, or just like this mic, or just like something, it's stationary. And he is standing under the Niagara Falls, and his cup is this way, and he is saying, "Oh, how much water of my tank is getting filled up." Miskin la yaraf, even one drop has not come in because it did not go in because he put it upside down or he put a lid on it. He closed it. He himself closed it. Like the hands, I was giving you example to give. His hand has to extend. The heart has to extend. When the heart extends, Allah gives it. If the heart is closed, how Allah will give it to him? You yourself have closed your heart. So you need to open the heart so that a person can receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, your phone is there, but if your phone is on airplane mode, you cannot get calls. So you cannot blame, oh, the towers, the company is bad. Oh, this is a bad company. Each time when I want to make phone call, it's not working, my dear. Company is not correct, not bad. Your phone is on airplane mode. Your heart is on airplane mode right now. And he's thinking, oh, mashallah, you know, I am under the Niagara Falls. How much my cup is getting filled up? My dear, your cup is closed. It doesn't matter whether you're in Niagara Falls or you're in the ocean. It's سكرت الباب. You close the door. So lahiyatan qulubum, Quran is saying. So the door has to be opened up. What does the door opens means? The focus has to be open. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give it to an individual. He wants to give. One sitting is enough to change a person's heart completely. How come, you know, Ramadan after Ramadan after Ramadan after Ramadan, you know, 20 Ramadan passes by, 30 Ramadan passes by, every year there's Shab Qadr. How come that does not change my life? How come my life, you know, in the Ramadan, a little bit change takes place, but after that, 95% the effect is not in my life. The way I had before Ramadan, my life goes back to the same thing. So what am I saying? I mean, the Noor of Allah is so weak, it can only change me for 1 month, but it doesn't have the capacity to change me for the whole life. Is this what I'm saying? खुदा का नूर इतना ही है कि जो अब 1 महीने अल्लाह की नूर इतना कमजोर हो चुका है कि वो सिर्फ 1 महीने को ही हद तक हम पे असर कर सकता है, उससे आगे उस नूर की ताकत खत्म हो गई. क्या आप ये बोलना चाह रहे हैं? नो माय डियर, हमने दरवाजा दिल का बंद कर दिया. We have closed the door of the heart. So the Noor of Allah is not entering in. So what happens? A person goes back to the same lifestyle which he was before Ramadan. And his lifestyle is exactly the same thing. And it goes by 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and the salah does not change. His lifestyle does not change. Nothing changes. So, my dear brothers, the first thing is today, and a person is doing tawbah also. But how this tawbah will work? If Allah wants to give you, but you have closed the door and you're doing tawbah, Allah, I will never do it again. My dear brothers, tawbah is, understand tawbah. Tawbah, may Allah make me and all of us understand, tawbah is removing the sin. Allah, please remove this. Okay, we have removed it. But I would continue doing what I was doing before. What kind of tawbah is this? Every year, same thing. That I'm changing, I'm doing exactly the same thing which I was doing last year and the year before that and the year before that. So what kind of a tawbah? Is this like a temporary tawbah that every year I'm going to take a shower and then I'll go and again fall myself into the gutter, or I will fall myself into the filth, and I'm going to put every same thing on me? Is this what the tawbah means in our standards? Is it called tawbah? So my dear respected brothers, the tawbah is that a person's life changes, and for that, the person's habits needs to change. His habits which he has, that needs to change. And the changing of the habits, it comes by the Noor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When it goes inside, it changes a person's habit. And to get this Noor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you're in the majlis of the Noor, your heart has to be opened up. The person can receive this. And when a person will receive it, I say, oh Allah, you know, please forgive my previous sins. But oh Allah, how can I change? How I can change positively? How I can change positive, that requires, my dear brothers, to have this nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when the nur comes in, it changes a person. A person cannot change only by his willpower. I have a very strong willpower, I'm going to change. He does the same thing and he falls into the same trap which he did before, and this is how his life continues. What the change will do, that nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nur is a physical commodity. It's something actual cheese hai. It actually comes inside our hearts. People will feel it. People are feeling it. We also need to feel it, and that nur will come when a person opens up. His heart is to be opened up. So his focus has to be there, open. And he needs to have this. Oh Allah, I want to have this. His heart is open up. Provided if his heart is open up, still there are certain things which will not let the nur of Allah come in. Also, even if the heart is open. Number one thing is this: if he has grudge against anybody. So even if he has complete attention and he has complete focus, still the nur of Allah will not come inside his heart if he has a grudge against any individual. यानी आपने दिल को खोल के रखा हुआ है तो खुदा का नूर आएगा लेकिन अंदर टिकेगा नहीं. It will not come in. Nur of Allah, even if your heart is open, nur of Allah cannot come inside. Very simple. You need to invite somebody to your house, and किसी ने पैखाना करके आपके ड्राइंग रूम में रखा हुआ, आप बुलाएंगे उसको? ताज़ा टट्टी करके चला गया, आ जा भाई उसमें बैठो. आपने if somebody has just gone to the bathroom in your living room, you want to invite somebody, please come. And the smell is there. Who want to come? बोला आता बैठता. I want to please, most of come here, पखाना बैठे. तो करेगा कोई? This is somebody has urinated and somebody has defecated in the living room. Would somebody normal, sane person would come and sit on that? So if a person has grudge against individual, the nur of Allah doesn't come in. Which is hatred, animosity, anger. If a person has it, the moment of your heart is open like this, nur of Allah will not come inside. जब तक दिल में कीना है, बदला लेने का शौक है और किसी को हम छोड़ेंगे नहीं, सब जज्बात चल रहे हैं, तो मैं क्या कहते हैं, तो फिर खुदा का नूर इन दिलों में नहीं आता. अब कितना भी रोए अल्लाह के सामने, कैसे आएगा? आपने खुद बंद किया हुआ है. A person is crying in front of Allah. Oh Allah, please, I need your nur. How the nur will come if you yourself has put this barrier for the nur of Allah to come, that there is filth inside. When you have hatred, animosity, anger, and these negative things against humanity, not against what you call people, against humanity. Any individual, if you have anything against any person, if you have that thing, then the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not. This is the usul Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because good and bad cannot be in the same place. You don't have darkness and light together in the same heart. It doesn't work. So the second thing, if the heart is also open, if there is animosity, nafrat, adawat, bughz, kina, all of these things, if they are there inside the hearts, so my dear brothers, then the nur of Allah doesn't get in also. Even if no matter how attention, how focused he is making dua to Allah. Oh Allah, please, I want to get this nur of you. But Allah says, oh my slave, how can I bring my nur inside your heart? But your heart, you yourself has put such filth inside your heart. Please remove that. तो दिल में ये अब नफरत रखी हुई आपके दूसरे मुसलमान से, क्योंकि आपकी बात नहीं मानता, तो आप उससे आप कहते हैं भाई अभी मुझे चलेगा, हम मस्जिद में ये लोग नहीं आएंगे, दूसरी कौम आएंगे, ये नहीं आएंगे, वो आएंगे. इस तरह का मिजाज चल रहा है, तो फिर उसके दिल में खुदा का नूर कैसे आएगा? If you have this inside, that only this group can come and that group cannot come, and these people can come and that people cannot come. If a person has these negative things, so against any Muslim, so this nur of Allah كيف يخش? यानी किसी इंसान के बारे में, because the hadith is very clear, لا يا أنس ألا يكون في قلبك غش فافعل. तेरे दिल में किसी के लिए नफरत ना हो. He did not specify कि ये मुस्लिम है या तबलीगी है या देवबंदी है या बरेली है पता नहीं कौन कौन है ऐसा नहीं कहा. He did not say that. He said if you have any negative against any individual, not to have anything against any individual. So the thing is this: a person has to have clean his heart from any negativity about any individual to get the nur of Allah. في قلبك صافي من هذه الأحوال. Then the second thing also, even if the heart is open and the nur of Allah does not come, when a person does not submit, which means he jhukta nahi hai, which means he doesn't, what do you call, he doesn't go. يعني في قلبه كبر. This person has ego. This person has what do you call, there are different words for this one. Some people say, oh, I'm very sensitive. This is a nice word for ego, which is a nice word of takabbur. Because shaitan is very, what do you call, is very cunning. The feeling is the same thing. He changes the words. Like a person, for example, هذا كذاب, let's say, for example, he's a very, let's say, this guy, he's a cheat in the business. And he's stealing people's money. What they call, oh, he's a smart businessman. Or they call him a slick businessman, which means أصلا كذاب, but what they call it in a different word. He doesn't feel bad. Oh, he's a slick businessman. He's a very sharp. Sharp, huh? غشاش. غشاش. بس بيستخدم ألفاظ طيبة عشان ما يعرف أن والله أنا في مصيبة. What he says, he used beautiful words. He's a slick businessman, smart businessman. قاعد يغش الناس يقول هذا smart businessman. So shaitan, he uses beautiful words. Oh, I'm sensitive. People need to know who I am. People need to understand me. These are all the fumes of kibr and ego and pride which is inside a person, my dear brothers. When a person has this, also the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot, Allah has made the usul that it will not enter inside. Because this is the thing which the shaitan had it. كان عنده نفس الشيء ما جاء دخل في نور مهما تعبد ما في نور الله. It doesn't matter how much worship he does because the nur of Allah cannot enter inside. Don't think that I can do anything what I want, but the nur of Allah will come anyway. Allah has made usul and laws which a person needs to follow that in order to get the nur of Allah. In the dunya also, if you want to get an application approved, there are certain ways to fill the application. Whatever you want, wallah, inna Allah ghafur rahim, and everything is fine. It doesn't work like that, my dear brothers. So you have to be very cautious. Because shaitan, my dear brothers, is such a cunning enemy. Let me ask you one question. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He speaks, do you think it was a small thing? He would speak, first of all, if He says something is important, do you think that's important or not important? अगर अल्लाह ताला एक चीज को बार बार कह रहे हैं तो क्या ख्याल है वो कितनी important होगी? Allah is saying something again and again and again and again, and the whole Quran is filled up. So what do you think? Doesn't that mean that it must be something very dangerous for us? And you know what is that thing? The effects of shaitan on human being. How many times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to us in the Quran? إن الشيطان لكم عدو فاتخذوه عدوا. He's your enemy. ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان. Did we tell you don't follow the shaitan? Quran again and again speaks about the shaitan. So why Allah is speaking so much about the shaitan? Why is this? Because it is something less important, or do you think Allah is just being a fairy tale, like a movie thing, like Superman and Batman? ऐसी कोई भूत का नाम ले रहा है ऐसा है ये क्या ख्याल है कोई एक्चुअल चीज है वो और खतरनाक चीज जिसका कुरान बार बार जिक्र कर रहा है तो क्या करे जिसका कुरान ने इतना जिक्र किया उसको हम हल्का समझे तो हमसे बड़ा बेवकूफ कोई है नहीं. If Allah is speaking so much about the shaitan and I'm thinking it's a joke, then I'm the most stupid person. Oh, brother, हमारा शैतान कहीं का इतना करें जब छोटे बच्चे को. Like they say, small, like if you have in our culture, Allah say shaitan. Shaitan is used as like this word. Shaitan को है ही नहीं, मजाक वाली बात है. Shaitan is just a joke. It's a joke. Quran is na'uzubillah, it's a joke. The Quran is playing jokes, na'uzubillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, do you think Allah is subhanahu is just being a fairy tale in the Quran? Oh, there's something like little kids. Oh, I want to scare them from, क्या कहते हैं उसको? Dangerous face, or they want to scare somebody from the, bhoot. क्या कहेंगे उसको English में bhoot? Bhujanga, from the ghost. You think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is na'uzu billah min dhalik? يعني الله بس يخوف مثل أولادنا، نخوف الأولاد من أشياء يعني هكذا الله يقول يخوفنا من الشيطان نحن صغار أولاد. Just छोटे बच्चे अल्लाह में से डरा रहा है हमें. The little kids, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just making, oh, this ghost will come to you. No. If you think like that, you are the most stupid people. ये समझता हूँ बेवकूफ तरीन है. That government which is not worried about the, which is not conscious or cautious from the enemy will hit it. So Allah is saying this is your staunchest enemy. First of all, we need to know who's our enemy. We don't even know who my enemy is. We have no idea about the enemy. These people, when these donors all over the world, what they do. So we need to know the enemy. Isn't it true? They send their spies. We need to know exactly everything about the enemy we want to know. They study them so that they can stay away from this. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that He is our enemy. So how much we know about Him and how much effort we make to stay, that He makes sure that He doesn't attack us. In the dunya, actually, human beings are not enemies of each other. Quran is saying that no, even your children and wife, your enemy is not people, even your wife and children. He is so slick and he is so dangerous, he can use your wife and kids to destroy you. Today we read this ayah. يا أيها الناس يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن من أزواجكم وأولادكم عدوا لكم فاحذروهم. That from your wives and from your children, they are your worst enemies. You be careful and conscious. For example, if you say कि तेरी बीवी सबसे खतरनाक तेरी दुश्मन है, अगर बीवी को पता चल जाए तो ये मौलवी साहब तो मेरे खिलाफ ही है, ये मौलवी साहब से कट जाओ इनसे भाई, इनकी मजहब में मत जाओ. अच्छा, अगर मैं ये अल्लाह में कह रहे हैं, अल्लाह में से भी कट जाओ फिर. अल्लाह भी आपके खिलाफ बोल रहे हैं ना, कि मैं बोल रहा हूँ अल्लाह में बोल रहे हैं, अब अल्लाह से कट जाओ, चलो काफिर ही बन जाओ, फिर जन्नत में सीधे जाओ. यानी कह रहे हैं कि भाई एक था ना बीवी के खिलाफ सिखा रहा हूँ. भाई बीवी के खिलाफ कौन सिखा रहा है? कुरान कह रहा है, ये मैं अपनी तरफ से बना के बोलो, कुरान नहीं कह रहा. कुरान क्या है पढ़ते नहीं. इन्न मिन अज़वाजिकुम व औलादिकुम अदुव्वन लकुम फहज़रूहुम. Your wife and your kids are your enemies. So Allah is saying, فَحْذَرُوهُمْ, you be careful. It does not mean that this is only for the women. It could be men also. The man also could be an enemy to the wife. The man has to be, the woman also has to be careful that the husband becomes an enemy for me. So be careful that because of that, I fall into the traps of shaitan, because shaitan uses these to trap us. That's why Quran says, what stops us from coming closer to Allah? आज भी हमने आयत पढ़ी ना, कौन सी सूरह तलाक की जायत है, कौन सी आयत थी दूसरी वाली? अल्लाह ने क्या कहा? नहीं, सूरह उसकी नहीं, सूरह मुनाफिकून की. ला तुल्हिकुम अमवालुकुम वला औलादुकुम अन ज़िक्रिल्लाह. तुम्हारी माल की मोहब्बत, your love of the money and your children, they will take you away from Allah. Because only the love of dunya, love of wealth, love of cash, love of money, تلهكم أموالكم, and then the second thing is the love of children. Uh, and because of them, لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله. ये खुदा से काटेंगे ये कुरान कह रहा है ये मैंने आज ही पढ़ी आते में और जो उनकी बात सुनेगा وما يفعل ذلك اللي يتبع يسمع كلامهم اللي بيمشي وراهم and the one who follows them and who goes exactly what they say. So what is going to happen to them? وما يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون. Allah is saying that they are destroyed. Allah is saying वो खसारे में है. Allah is saying that you are in complete loss if you listen to them. So my dear people, these are the things, because this is the last remnants of the Ramadan which we have. So please, we have to make sure that we don't do. So first thing is, the focus has to be there in everything, in the salat, in the tilawat of the Quran, in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in listening to the words of Allah and His Rasul, the first thing. And the second thing is this, if our hearts are open, if you're completely, focused towards it, make sure that our this thing, what do you call, the first thing is that don't keep grudge against any individual. Otherwise, the nur of Allah will not enter. अगर दिल में किसी के नफरत है, खुदा का नूर नहीं उतरता, माफ कर दो फौरन. In the Ramadan, forgive them, and you see how the nur of Allah will enter. And the second thing is this, grudge. The second thing is this takabbur and this ego and thing. If this is also there, then also the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not enter. So these are the two things which you need to make sure that a person, ego means he does not submit, he does not bow down, because a person feels, he said, there is, I'll tell you one thing, there are two types of tawheed. One is tawheed al-shaytani and one is the tawheed al-rahmani. What is the tawheed al-shaytani and tawheed al-rahmani? Tawheed al-shaytani is this, brother, I am against, I only, that's it, I only listen to Allah and nobody else. Sounds nice. This is what the tawheed of the Iblis is. The Iblisi tawheed है क्या है? मैं किसी को नहीं मानता, मैं अल्लाह ही की मानता हूँ बस. कोई नहीं, चल भाई जन्नत में जा. I don't listen to nobody. I only follow Allah. Tawheed imani, that you follow the one who Allah tells you to follow also. ما آتاكم الرسول فخذوه ما نهاكم عنه فانتهوا. أطيعوا الله أطيعوا الرسول. Listen to Allah and listen to Rasul also. If you, Allah wants to put a human factor in the middle, because a human's ego does not get crushed unless, because a human being doesn't want to submit to anybody. This is a mirage. He wants to be free, and he wants to know, I'm between me and Allah straight, that's it. I don't want no human interaction. If that was the case, Allah would have just brought down the Quran. That's enough. No Rasul needed. Allah, I am bringing this Quran and this Rasul. جاءكم الله نور وكتاب مبين. This Rasul is also there. وتيجي عندي عن طريق الرسول. ما تيجي بنفسك. You want to come to me? You have to come through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You cannot bypass him. You have some people, they say, oh, I just follow Quran, Hadith, and that's it. Nothing else, I'm pure. Because what happens when you bypass Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or let's say, you bypass the Sahaba, or you bypass the ulama, or you bypass the pious people, you bypass all of this, me direct straight. So what happens? This person, he says, I will follow Quran Hadith. It sounds very nice. But then what happens? He forgets that because he makes his mind as the standard. And he forgets that the shaitan is rakib alayh. That the shaitan is also on top of him. Shaitan alladhi yuwaswis fi sudur an-nas. He is controlling him because he has not made the effort to remove the shaitan. The shaitan yajri majra ad-dam. Shaitan is flowing his veins like blood. So in the name of Islam, Quran, Hadith, he will follow his desires. وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يَحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. and he will think that I'm doing is very correct. And what is actually he's doing? He's following exactly opposite of what Allah and His Rasul says. He's following his shaitan. But if you have somebody who's there, a alim or a pious man or a sheikh, he says, brother, what you're doing is wrong. Because then this person, he puts a break. If there is no break, then he will follow what he feels like. Whatever he feels like, I'm going to follow because his mind is the standard. So Allah puts this factor of the human in, and that's one second thing. He does not want to submit to a human being. Human nafs doesn't want to submit to an individual. That kills his ego, that crushes his nafs. झुकना अपने जैसे इंसान के सामने झुकना नहीं चाहता मैं अल्लाह के सामने झुका काफी है क्यों मखलूक के सामने झुका उसकी नफ्स को तोड़ने के लिए अल्लाह ने इंसान को रखा बीच में so to crush his nafs Allah puts the factor of the human being then you listen to him अच्छा in the dunya he has no issues in the dunya to become a doctor he doesn't say oh the books are enough for me I don't need nobody to teach me I'm going to learn it myself will you listen to him दुनिया में तो बड़ी अकल चल रही है उधर नहीं चलती है oh, I'm a lawyer I'll read all the books of the law I don't need nobody to teach me anything I'm enough my mind is very sharp I can understand everything I'll read the books and oh mashallah Google is there that's it can you become a doctor can you become an engineer can you become a plumber so in the dunya you understand this that you need to have a mentor like somebody was telling me that they are doing this interview to these all millionaires. Every single one of them says there was a mentor for me. Even in the dunya, you need to have a mentor, a guide to show you. But in the deen, he says, no, I'm Allah, that's it, I'm direct with Allah, directly. And then this is how the nafs makes a fool of this individual. So in the dunya, he is using the mentor. But in the deen, he says, why you are submitting yourself to this mentor? Why you are listening to this mentor? Why you are listening to your teacher? Why you are listening to him? Because you know that in order for you to learn, you have to listen to him. Why are you going to the doctor? Why don't you do your own treatment in the house on Google? Just do all if you're anything wrong, don't call any doctor. Do yourself. Why you need to go to the doctor? Learn yourself. खुद ही तुम बन जाओ और जल्दी जाएंगे जहन्नुम में उधर कब्र में जल्दी जाएगा आदमी. Will go straight to the qabr quickly. If he does not have what you call a doctor or somebody who he goes to. In the dunya, a human being is using it. My dear respectful, that's why these are the points, these are the facts which we need to make sure that we clean ourselves. And when the Surah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come, when we will sit in this majalis with our open hearts, and inshallah with this, and then we ask Allah, oh Allah, please remove these things from my heart. If I have any ego, Allah, please remove it. I have this hatred against anybody, oh Allah, please remove it. I ask you, I make intention never to have this, oh Allah, please help me. Make this dua, sit in these gatherings, and then when the nur of Allah will come, this will start changing a person. And you will change. You will start liking yourself in the positive way. Otherwise, a person will hate himself. He himself feels, oh, how bad I am. I hate myself, what I'm doing. He himself will feel it. Isliye, inshallah, make this Ramadan, the last few days, when we will summarize. The first thing is this, we will do tawbah to Allah to remove all the previous sins. This is okay. Second thing is this, then we sit with our open hearts, instead of zikr, in the tilawat, in the salat, all of these things with our open hearts. Please don't bring your phones next time in the masjid, or put it inside the, houses and your shops, or close it down. Don't use it at all. And second thing is, focus on the Quran and Hadith. I think we need to go also, one thing, we should go to the president's house sometimes and see how the people sit over there. Go to a president's house. Go to these prime ministers and presidents. When you go inside their house, see how they sit, see how they talk, see how they behave, see how is their body language. To these small little kings and presidents, look at the way people treat them, and imagine in the house of Allah, the attitude with Allah is. बादशाहों के दरबारों में गए नहीं तो पता ही नहीं कैसे अभी भी के बादशाहों के पास जाके देखिए कैसे रहते हैं. I remember once we were in one of the king's place, one person he put his foot like this on the sofa. Immediately a man came. Nazil Rajulak, put your foot down. कौन सी गलती कैसे बैठ रहा है और डांटा उससे फॉर गार्ड ने put your foot down. Mind the adab, you don't have respect, you're sitting in the court. It was a huge thing, and of course the king doesn't even see him, the prime or whatever, I think the chief. He's all the way to the end. Just by putting his foot up, the man came. Just put it down. He was about to throw him outside. फेंक देने वाला था बाहर तक को. उसने छोड़ दिया बूढ़ा आदमी को रोक दिया उसने. So he says, old man, stop him. It's okay. Just put his one foot up because he was tired sitting. So he just put it. So in the court of dunya, this is how much they are careful. In the court of the kings, or in the sitting of the king. So imagine the masjid, our attitude with Allah, Allah ke saath ताल्लुक़ है masajid के अंदर, Allah की बात सुनते वक्त. And when the king is talking, or the prime minister is talking, listen how you don't even need to go. Just look at the when they have this second, what do you call it, press conference going on, and the president is speaking. Look, all the people are sitting, how they're watching him. Have you seen it? देखा कैसा बात कर पूरे सब क्या हाथ में लिखा है they're watching वही आ रही है पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है like what is coming down, how they're looking. This is somebody who is just like them. This is to teach us. This is Rabbul Alameen. ये जो आपकी why Allah closes Baytullah and Masjid Nabi and everything? Because of these reasons. Why Allah is closing the masajid? Because of these reasons. जब बेद भी किया मतलब अल्लाह ने मस्जिद से महरूम कर रहे हैं लोगों को. When a person is disrespecting in the Baytullah, doing ribat, in the Baytullah taking selfies, one person is मैं pose मार दूँ तस्वीर खींच लो. ये Baytullah में आप pose मारना है. You are taking pictures in the house of Allah, you're making movies. Everybody is like this. Want to make movies. You cannot make movies in the दो कौड़ी के president घर में. यहाँ movie बनाना है. You cannot even make a movie in the house of this. No, strictly no cameras allowed. So in the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu هذا الأدب. In the Baytullah, this is Allah shut it down. Nobody can come close to the Hajar Aswad. काबिल नहीं हो कि तुम इसको बोसा लो. Don't even come close. Shutting down the masajid. So don't blame the governments or the virus, everything. Blame myself. I need to blame myself. Maulana was asked why the work of Tabligh stopped in Medina Munawwara in Saudi Arabia. He said, हमने जब मस्जिदों की बेअदबी की तो अल्लाह ने इसमें महरूम किया. मौलाना खुद कहा. Maulana said, when we were disrespecting the masajid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He forbade us from staying in the masjid. What's happening all over the masjid? At least whatever is left, up to nahi kare wo. We masjid में आए to understand the respect. This is not the living room. अल्लाह के घर में आए तो कैसे बात करनी, कैसे रहना, कैसे करना, खुदा के सामने कैसे अदब से बैठना. We need to learn all of this, how to have the respect in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For Allah's sake, don't use your cell phones and these things. Sit with respect and honor so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon us. Otherwise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He makes it tight, you forget everything. May Allah make it easy. Shall we do some zikr now? ألم نشرح ولا إنسان؟ يريد ألم نشرح. يريد أن أنزلنا. إنا أنزلناه نزل الملائكة من كل هي حتى مطلع الفجر. قل والله أحد قل الله الله Allah can answer the effect of the name of Allah is in the heart. So when we say the name of Allah, like he says, Jaddidu imanakum, the nur of Allah comes inside. When we say La ilaha, we are removing all the negatives, everything, all the makhluk from our hearts. Illa Allah, we are putting the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our hearts. فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. استغفر الله الذي لا هو الحي القيوم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. 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 لا محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله 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 الله 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 لا إله إلا هو فاتخذه وكيلا لا إله إلا هو لا إله إلا هو لا إله إلا هو لا إله إلا هو لا إله إله إلا هو لا 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 إله إلا هو 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 You know what is the power of Allah? Comes in the hadith, if everything is finished, nobody is doing anything. Only one man says Allah. Because of this, the whole universe will stay intact. لن تقوم الساعة حتى رجل يقول الله Allah. This is the power of Allah. Just the name will keep the whole universe intact. Do you think that Allah name, which will fix the whole universe, cannot fix our lives? Cannot fix me inside? The only thing which can fix a person is the name of Allah. Allah, 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 جلاله يا الله جل جلاله. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد صاحب التاج والمعراج والبراق والعلم دافع البلاء والوباء والقحط والبر والألم اسمه مكتوب مرفوع مشفوع منقوش في اللوح والقلم سيد العرب والعجم اسمه مقدس معطر مطهر منور في البيت والحرم شمس القرآن بدر الدجى صدر العلا نور الهدى كافي الورى مصباح الظلم جميل الشيم شفيع الكرم صاحب الجود والكرم والله عاصمه جبريل خادمه والبراق مركبه وسدرة المنتهى وقاب قوسين مطلوب والمقصود موجود سيد المرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين أنيس الغريبين رحمة للعالمين راحة العاشقين مراد المشتاقين شمس العارفين سراج السالكين مصباح المقربين محب الفقراء والغرباء والمساكين سيد الثقلين نبي الحرمين إمام القبلتين وسيلتنا في الدارين صاحب قال قوسين بالمشرقين ورب المغربين جد الحسن والحسين مولانا مولى الثقلين أبي القاسم محمد بن عبد الله نور من نور الله يا أيها المشتاقون بنور جماله صلوا عليه وآله وأصحابه وسلموا تسليما صلى الله على حبيبه نبينا محمد وآله وسلم صلى الله على حبيبه سيدنا 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 محمد وآله وسلم
صلى الله على حبيبه سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم صلى الله على حبيبه سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم صلى الله على حبيبه سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم صلى الله على حبيبه سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم صلى الله على
حبيبي سيدنا محمد وآله وسلم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. اللهم اجزي عنا وعن والدينا أفضل ما جازيت به نبيا عن أمته ورسولا عن قومه. اللهم احشرنا تحت لوائه وأوردنا حوضه واسقنا من يده الشريفة شربة يتنبع بعدها أبدا، واجمع بيننا وبينه كما آمنا به ولم نره، ولا تفرق بيننا وبينه حتى تدخلنا مدخلا. اللهم رب ارحمنا كما ربياني صغيرا. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف الوالد والوالد والأهل، واشفني واشفنا جميعا، واشف العائلة، واشف عبد العزيز. اللهم ارزق شفاء كاملا عاجلا يا رب العالمين. اللهم ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم اجعلني وبني أن نعبد الأصنام. اللهم اصلح لنا شأننا كله، ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين، فإنك إذا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا تكلنا إلى ذنب وضعف وعورة، وإنا لا نثق إلا بك يا رب العالمين. اللهم رب هب لي الصالحين، واجعل لي لسان صدق في الآخرين، واجعلني من ورثة جنة النعيم، ولا تخزني يوم يبعثون، يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. اللهم اجعل في قلبي نورا، وفي سمعي نورا، وفي بصري نورا، وفي لحمي نورا، وفي دمي نورا، وفي عظمي نورا، وفي عصبي نورا، وفي شعري نورا، وفي لساني نورا، وعن يميني نورا، وعن يساري نورا، من أمامي نورا، من خلفي نورا، من فوقي نورا، من تحتي نورا. اللهم اجعل لي نورا، واعطني نورا، وعظم لي نورا، واجعل في نفسي نورا، واجعلني سببا لنور عبادك يا رب العالمين. اللهم ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا، واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم تقبل تقبل صيامنا وتقبل صلاتنا. اللهم تقبل صيامنا وتقبل صلاتنا. اللهم تقبل صيامنا تقبل صلاتنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم ارزقنا حبك وحب من يحبك والعمل الذي يقربنا إلى حبك. اللهم اجعل حبك أحب الأشياء عندنا وخشيتك أخوف الأشياء عندنا. يا نور السماوات والأرض يا قيوم السماوات والأرض يا ملك السماوات والأرض يا بديع السماوات والأرض يا حي يا قيوم يا حي يا قيوم يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث برحمتك أستغيث برحمتك أستغيث. اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. اللهم فاعف عنا يا كريم فاعف عنا يا كريم. اللهم ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين لنكونن من الخاسرين لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم إنا نسألك ما سألك عبدك وحبيبك مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك عبدك وحبيبك مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم. أنت المستعان وأنت البلاغ وإليك المستعان ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم ربنا أتمم لنا نورنا واغفر لنا إنك على كل شيء قدير. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.